I want to talk a little bit more about shows that you've seen as well. So a lot of times we do a draft here on the show, and I said I can't fake it, right? The audience is gonna understand that I'm not being authentic, but I wanted to give some shine to the arts a little bit more because I think it'd be wrong to not continue to talk about some incredible productions that have came out over the years. And I want to hear from you. What are some of your favorite productions? Can you give me a top 5, or what does that look like for you?
This would if you ask me on any given day, it's going to change. So these are just the first 5 impactful performances that came to mind. I was lucky enough to see the original cast of Hamilton, on Broadway. Cynthia Erivo in the color, the full original cast.
Okay.
Cynthia Erivo in the color purple. I still think about that one on a day-to-day basis. The show Company, the recent Broadway revival with Patti LuPone. One of my first professional productions I ever saw that my parents didn't do good research on was Cabaret. So I always think about that show. And if you're familiar with the really popular revival of it and how dark and gritty it is, just imagine like a 5-year-old seeing that.
Oh my gosh. I am familiar with that. That's bizarre.
So, they knew Liza Minnelli, and they were like, it's Liza.
It's okay.
So, oh goodness, a 5th one. Sunday in the Park with George. I love Sondheim.
That's awesome. And like you mentioned Cynthia, but we talk about these huge productions that are occurring now, and they're kind of coming to the big screen now. What does that crossover feel like to you when you see that come into a movie theater?
I love it just because growing up, you think about in the 40s, 50s, 60s, how much theater was part of the national conversation at the time. I mean, at any given point, you would turn on the TV and there could be Julie Andrews giving a performance. And we don't necessarily have that same love for theater that we do. So whenever you have a moment like Hamilton or Wicked, it feels like something that we used to have. And that's what I love. I love when I see theater part of the national conversation.
It's cool. And my girlfriend and I, we watched Wicked, and she's a huge fan of Wicked. She also saw Wicked when she was in New York. So it's really important to her as well. And then that led to other conversations. We watched Hamilton. I've seen In the Heights now. And it's just a really, really interesting art form. Even as someone who wouldn't necessarily consider themselves somebody that's into that style of art, it so much goes into it.
And it says so much about the time it was created too, because now you look at Hamilton, we're only 10 years from it, and you can see like what the world was like in 2016 and how that differs from how we talk today.
Absolutely. And it's just awesome to see that convergence when you see art coming to display, but also you understand that cameras are also involved. Yes. And a lot of that stuff is shot in one shot. If you're looking at like a camera moving back and people have to sing and come out, and there's just so much incredible work that goes into it. So I really appreciate you sharing some of your favorite shows with us. But beyond that, there's a question that we always ask at the end of every single show. And I just want to know some of your feelings about Midland. So whether that's a business or whether that's changes, whether that's resources, whatever it is, it's a really loaded question. But looking forward at the future of our community, what is something that you want for this place?
I want to see more diversity. I really, and I know we're getting there, and I know that there's so much passion behind that, but I'm really excited to just start seeing new faces in leadership. And that's just part of like time and development. But there are so many exciting things happening in our community right now, just on the development side, that I just know in 10 years, like we're going to be looking back on this time, just thinking like, wow, how did we do it?
Absolutely. And new faces in leadership are definitely something that can move this community forward, and it provides diversity of thought and just different input. And if we're really going to be a community for all, we have to have the input of all. That means people need to be at the table, and we have to have those conversations, and we have to be open and honest about it. So subscribe wherever you consume media. Max Loves Midland is your entertainment, resources, and collective improvement hub for Midland County. Plan your next adventure in Midland at maxlovesmidland.com.